Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am tackling some milk cartons and I'm going to turn them into something that you can reuse as a piece of decor in your house. So if you had seen my other DIY your rubbish video where I transformed, I think, a shoebox, a Pringles tin, and what else? Oh, some jam jars or some sauce jars. Well, I'm back today and I've been collecting people's milk cartons. I'm going to transform milk cartons into cute little storage baskets with a little fabric lid. So I'm going to get straight into the DIY and I'll have the chats after. If you're new to my channel and you've just stumbled across my channel, do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, and I'll catch you after. So any old milk carton will do for this job. Don't worry if yours are smaller or bigger because you completely customize this and make it whatever size you want. Those are just some of the things that I'm using for this DIY. The key thing for this one is lollipop sticks. Everything else you can just use what you already have, and then also some fabric for the basket that we're going to put inside. I'm just roughly measuring out so that it is even when I go to cut. You don't want any wonky milk cartons. Don't worry if you don't get it perfect though, because you are going to be sticking lollipop sticks to this so you can hide any imperfections. I use a blade cutter to cut out my milk carton, but just be extra careful with this. It also was a little bit fiddly at the end and I did end up having to use a scissors. Just be careful when using this blade. I use my glue gun to glue the popsicle sticks, or lollipop sticks as some will say, to my carton. Don't worry if you don't have a glue gun. You could use some PVA or some crafting glue. Just bear in mind the drying time, it might take a little bit longer to dry. And all I did was simply place all of this lollipop sticks onto the carton and I worked my way around. It wouldn't be a video without an interruption from one of the cats. Pepsi had to get a nosy in and see what I was getting up to in this week's video. Okay, so now I am measuring for the fabric. So yours is going to depend on whatever size your carton is. So I measured the height and the width and I added on an extra ½ an inch for a seam allowance. And then I have 4 pieces for each corner and then a bottom piece. So I hope by watching this and what I do it will make sense and show you how I put together the lining for my little baskets. You are basically going to have 4 longer pieces which are going to be the sides of your basket insert, and then you're going to have a bottom piece. Make sure to add on some extra fabric because you're going to fold over your lining on the top of the basket. So I think mine is 16 inches tall and that's just allowing a good inch or 2 for the fold over on the basket, which will hopefully make sense when you see it all made. The key thing is just have the right sides of the fabric facing each other. If you have the wrong sides facing or a right and a wrong side, then you're on the wrong path. So if you just have 2 right sides facing together, then you can't go too far wrong. To get a nice professional finish, always iron your seams flat. This just makes the whole piece look a little bit more polished. That's something my sewing teacher taught me, was to iron out your seams and make them nice and flat. So now I'm popping the base on, and again, the right sides of the fabric facing each other, and I did pin this into place just to make it easier to sew. My camera did die, but if you can see, I just added a hem to the top. So I just folded over once and I stitched a hem. Now you can see what I mean with adding some extra fabric so that you have an inch when you fold over. And don't worry if it's a little bit tight or snug when you're sticking it on. I obviously misjudged my seam allowance, but you can maneuver the fabric and stick it on. I just added a little bit of twine as well, just to give mine a little bit of detail. Here is how I made a wide basket. So I followed the exact same way, only I cut a top piece out, and you'll see that I used that to make a side wall. And the same goes for the fabric. I literally measured out the fabric to the dimensions of the carton. I added an extra 1/2 inch for seam allowance, and I added extra fabric for the top so that I had the fold over. So whatever the dimensions of your carton is, just add seam allowance and add extra on top. So I hope that makes sense, and watching me make it hopefully will make the penny drop. I decided to paint my baskets because I wanted to give them that kind of shabby chic kind of farmhouse look, and I love that whitewash effect on the wood. I had actually ran out of white chalk paint, so I just picked this up I actually think I got this in Mr. Price. It's basic kind of craft acrylic paint. It's okay for things like this, but as a paint it didn't have good coverage, but for this project it worked out fine. So as you can see, I used them and I put them in my downstairs bathroom because they kind of tie in with that decor. Blondie is just after, I don't know if you can see her. She's in the window, so if you hear like a scurry and that's Blondie. So this is completely a kid-friendly DIY except for the cutting of the cartons. I used a blade, you could totally use scissors, and you don't have to use a glue gun. You could probably get away with using PVA glue, but just bear in mind that that's going to take longer to dry, so just kind of adapt it to suit your skill level. But I swear by my glue gun. Now I know what you're thinking, Dainty, what did you do with the cut-offs of the milk cartons? Don't worry, I did not waste these. I actually use these as little seedling starters. So because they have the cap at the bottom, that gives me drainage. So I just mixed in some soil, and I mixed some, I don't know what the actual technical term is, but I have these stones. I got them in the garden centre, they're really, really tiny. So I mixed them through for drainage, and I popped in some seeds on top. I'm gonna leave them on the windowsill so they get like a start, and once the root is established, I can pop them out into the garden probably around mid-May, maybe June. I can put them in an actual container and let them do their thing, so you can keep them as little seed starters. Let me know if you're gonna give this a try. Personalize it, customize it, do whatever you want, make it your own style. Have fun with the fabric as well. I've seen a lot of people, you know, stick like decoupage paper to the inside, but honestly for me, it was easier to sew a little fabric insert than it was to apply paper, because when I try and stick paper to things, I get a million bubbles and wrinkles and creases. So making the fabric little insert for me was easier. Thumbs up if you like my video, subscribe if you're new. You can catch me on Instagram during the week. I upload every Thursday on here. Hope you enjoyed this week's video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye everyone.